Hey everyone, we're going to talk about adding and subtracting decimals. When you add and subtract decimals, you add and subtract almost the same way you do any other number, except there's a couple steps that you need to make sure you follow. The first one is you need to make sure that you line the numbers up. You line them up by the decimal. The second one is once you do the adding and subtracting, you need to make sure that you drop down the decimal so that the number you come up with, the sum or the difference, has the decimal in the correct place. Then you complete the problem by adding or subtracting. Let's try it. Okay, so here we have 24 and 4/10 plus 10 and 3/10. First we need to line them up. So I'll write 24 and 4/10. And then my next number is 10 and 3/10. So I'm going to draw my decimal first. And on the right side of the decimal I have a 3. And on the left I have 0, 1. Now here you can see I have my numbers lined up. And the decimal is also lined up. And in this problem, adding. I'm going to add the same way I normally would. But first, I need to bring down my decimal. Line them up, bring it down. 4 plus 3 is 7. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 1 is 3. So my answer is 34 and 7/10. So here you can see I have 72 and 3/100 plus 3 and 121 thousandths. 72 and 3/100 plus 3 and 121 thousandths. Well, we know our first step is that we need to line the numbers up. Second number, add my decimal. On the left side of the decimal, I have a 3. On the right side, I have 1, 2, 1. Plus, there we go. As you can see, my numbers are lined up, but there's something missing here. When there's a digit that's missing, we need to fill it in with a placeholder. That placeholder is always going to be 0, because 30 thousandths is the same as 3/100. So now I can go ahead and add. 0 plus 1 is 1. 3 plus 2 is 5. 0 plus 1 is 1. I need to bring down the decimal. 2 plus 3 is 5. And bring down the 7. So 72 and 3/100 plus 3 and 121 thousandths is equal to 75 and 151 thousandths. Now you can tell that your answer is correct because 72 plus 3 equals 75. So you know that your answer is in the right place because your whole numbers are aligned. Let's read this problem together. This model is shaded to represent one whole. So it's talking about this model right here. That model represents one whole. And we know that this flat has 100 little squares, 100 little squares. Each row has 10. And there's 10 rows of 10, and we know that 10 times 10 equals 100. Model 1 and Model 2 have each been shaded to represent a decimal. Here's Model 1 and here's Model 2. Let's see what they've been shaded to represent. In Model 1, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows of 10, which would be the same as 8 times 10, which is 80. So 80 out of 100 have been shaded, which would be the same as writing 80/100. In Model 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows of 10. That'd be 7 times 10, so that's 70. And then we have 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76. So Model 2 has 76 out of 100 shaded, which we would write as 76 hundredths. The question is, what is the difference between the decimal shaded in Model 1 and Model 2? The key word here is difference. We know when a problem asks for a difference, we need to subtract. So, let's line our numbers up. Put the biggest number on top, 80 hundredths, decimal 760. All right, my numbers are lined up. 0 minus 6. I can't do it, so I need to borrow. Cross out the 0, cross out the 8. We're borrowing from the 8, so it becomes a 7. 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. 7 minus 7 is 0. Bring down the decimal. 0 minus 0 is 0. So 80 hundredths minus 76 hundredths is 4 hundredths. Let's look at this problem. This model is shaded to represent one whole. So this right here is one whole. What is the sum of Model 1 and Model 2 shown below? Well, here's Model 1, and here's Model 2. And it says, what is the sum? Well, we know that a sum is the answer to an addition problem. So we must need to add them together. Pause the video and solve this on your own. Let's take a look. This model is shaded to represent one whole. So this is one whole. Model 1 and Model 2 have each been shaded to represent a decimal. Here's Model 1, and here's Model 2. Well, Model 1 has one whole and decimal. 2 rows of 10s, so that would be 2 times 10, which is 20. 21, 22, 23, 24. 24 hundredths. And Model 2 does not have a whole. It just has this decimal. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of 10. 6 times 10 would be 60. And then 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67. Has 67 out of 100, which would be the same as writing 67 hundredths. So the next question is, what is the difference between the decimal shaded in Model 1 and Model 2? Well, we know that the answer to a subtraction problem is called the difference, so we need to subtract them. Line them up. Put my decimal. On this side I have a 0, then I have 6, 7. Pause the video and solve it on your own.